Hi, my name is Allison, and I've just enjoyed the most exciting days of my life. I'm just 16, so I know that's not saying much, but still. So my mom and dad went on a trip, and they decided I should stay at my grandmother's place. Not too exciting, right? Bet you might be wondering what might be so great about that. Well, the thing is, I've been keeping a secret from most of my family for years. You see, I have been in love with the same guy for years. He's around my age, so cute and smart. He's also really caring, and I melt for him every single time we see each other. The only problem with the man of my dreams? Well, he's my cousin. Yeah, that's why I have to keep it a secret from my family. That and because I wasn't exactly sure what he felt for me. Perhaps he just liked me as his cousin and nothing else. And if I told him about my feelings, then I would mess everything up. I had no idea how to tell him I was madly in love with him. I mean, imagine how shocking it would be for him if he didn't like me that way, right? Still, whenever he was around, I was so happy. He made me laugh every single time we met, and we had the same tastes in music, movies, and even books. He was also so handsome, it was insane. His name's Lance, and surprisingly enough, he's never really had a girlfriend. Sure, he's dated a few, but nothing serious. No one in the family knows why. Well, at least not until yesterday. Now I finally discovered exactly what kept him from going steady with any girl in his class. Anyway, this started about 3 days ago. I was watching TV at my grandmother's place while she went out to do some shopping. I didn't feel like going out, so she just let me stay there. That was when Lance dropped by. I couldn't believe my luck. I mean, I usually was surrounded by family members whenever Lance came around, and now I had the perfect chance to be alone with him. It was amazing, and I think he noticed me blushing, because after we said hello and I let him inside, he looked at me suspiciously. Were you running or something? Running? No, why? I was just watching TV, I replied, confused about his question. Well, you're blushed. Don't tell me you brought a guy to grandmother's house. He teased me, making me blush even further. What? No, I'm all alone, you silly goose. I giggled, slapping his arm. Okay. Do you mind if I stick around for a while? I was bored and Mom sent me to visit Grandma. It's cool you're here too, so we can watch a movie or play video games, he said. We sat together on the sofa, and oh God, he was so close to me. I was sure he was about to kiss me. Lance leaned in, staring straight at my face, and I held my breath. However, it turned out he was only staring at my cheek because I had an eyelash there. God, I've never been so disappointed before. We began playing silly little video games. I would have done just about anything to get him to stick around. After a while, I asked him if he wanted something to drink, and went into the kitchen to fetch 2 glasses of water. That was when I had another idea. When I returned to the living room, I pretended to trip and dropped some water on my white t-shirt. Perhaps then he'd check me out and we'd have a moment. Perhaps then I could tell him how I felt. Oh no, how clumsy, I said, and looked up at him, hoping he'd be staring my way. Instead, he just laughed and agreed with me. Yeah, so clumsy. Go change, I'll wait, he replied without paying me much attention. I was so frustrated. All through the afternoon, I tried different ways to get him to look at me as something other than a cousin. When I changed my clothes, I put on a tight-fitting dress. I've been told I'm really pretty, so that could have worked, but it didn't. I hugged him, telling him how much I had missed being around him lately, and made sure to be super close to him. But still, nothing. I was so frustrated, believe me. I even pretended to trip again when he stood up to grab something to eat, and he caught me in his arms like a real gentleman. We were so close. Lance could have pulled me in and kissed me, but instead, he just helped me back on my foot and walked into the kitchen. I needed to find some way of getting him to notice me, but it was running out of time. Soon my grandmother would be back, and then I'd have to behave myself. He wouldn't be able to kiss me either, not in front of her. So I needed to buy some time and make sure he would stick around. Suddenly, I had this crazy idea. Lance was really into challenges, and that could be a great way of not only getting him to stay, but also being completely alone with him. Hey Lance, I have a challenge for you. How long can you stay in my room without getting caught? He laughed and looked at me like I was crazy. Seriously? I can stay there at least a week and Grandma will never know. he replied, laughing, and I shrugged, pretending I didn't believe it. Well, prove it, I retorted. That was when he rushed upstairs, and in good time, too, because our grandmother arrived only 10 minutes later. That night, I gave him a few blankets and pillows to throw on the floor so he could sleep comfortably. We watched a movie, sitting together, and I rested my head on his shoulder, hoping that having me that close late at night would finally lead him to kiss me. But nothing. He just fell asleep. I was so frustrated. The following day, I kept on challenging him to do other stuff, just to keep him around and try to attract him to me. Like if he could stare at me without blinking longer than I could, or catch me, then running away. Nothing worked. He simply didn't seem interested. So perhaps it was not meant to be, I thought, feeling sad. I decided to finally give up. I didn't want to bug my cousin or make him feel awkward, you know? I was going to tell him to go back home the following morning, since it wasn't fair he would continue to sleep on the floor just for a silly challenge I only came up with to trick him into spending time with me. However, when I came upstairs, I saw him sitting on my bed. Lance seemed completely lost in his thoughts just before I spoke. "Is everything okay?" I asked, and he nodded, asking me to sit next to him. "These past 2 days have been amazing, Allison," he told me, holding my hand tenderly. "Look, I have to tell you something, and I don't want you to freak out. If you don't feel the same way, I'll never ever mention it again." I held my breath. Was this really going to happen? "Yes?" I asked, and blushed even further. "The only reason I accepted this silly challenge was to be around you alone. I like you. I think you're the prettiest girl in the world." He looked at me with clear concern, like he was worried I would scream at him or freak out. Instead, I smiled brightly, and I swear I've never felt happier. "Oh, Lance, I've been waiting so long to hear you say that," I squealed, and his smile was so bright, so sweet. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, and I nodded immediately. Finally, we shared our first kiss, and it was every bit as incredible as I had thought it would be. That night, we talked for hours, finally being able to admit our feelings for each other. It turned out he's been into me for years. We both liked each other, but neither of us dared say anything about it. "You're such a good kisser," I told him, unable to stop smiling. He kissed me all over again, and I melted in his arms. So now we're dating, and we don't know how to tell our family. I need your advice. I want to keep seeing him, but I don't want to upset my mom and dad. What would you do in my place? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos in our channel for more crazy stories like this one.